Now in India, everybody is talking about when will the India become a super economic power which can have its influence throughout the world. So when you want to become an economic power, the government policy of Make in India should be implemented in letter and spirit. If you want to implement that Make in India, you must have the intellect. And this IPR regime should be streamlined. It should be implemented. As I said, creativity, innovation in Indians should be encouraged. Their innovations should be protected. And of course, we have sufficient laws to protect it. And when there is infringement, we must see that those persons get the relief at the earliest. Once this is done, probably today we are talking about not only here, throughout the world, it is a case of knowledge economy. Today land industries have gone to the background. Today it is ideas, it is the knowledge which will rule this world, and in that we are not lacking. We have sufficient human resources. It appears about 53 to 54% of the Indian population are young. There we are number one. Not only they are young, they are very, very intelligent and creative also. So once this human resource is properly channelized, properly marketed and preserved and protected, probably India becoming a super economic power is not that difficult. So that should be the object of everybody who is in this field of IPR. We are talking about IPR is no use. That IPR is to be converted into money, that is commercialization. So now we have to use our intellect to decide how to convert this knowledge into money, and that money which will help the country in its growth, and that money could be diverted for all of the developmental activities which will make a common man a happy person to live in this country. Thank you.
S.S. Nayak, practicing as a chartered accountant for the last 28 years. Actually today my topic in this seminar is taxation in India and its compliances and entrepreneurship development skills. One tagline I want to tell regarding taxation is, cost of compliance is much cheaper than cost of litigation. That's why whatever may be the law of the land, we should follow. There is a saying, Raja Pratyaksha Devata. Whatever may be the law of land, better we follow. Instead of unnecessarily litigating and ending up in trouble, better we can go for compliances. As far as this entrepreneurship development skills is concerned, entrepreneurship is very much there in our Indian blood. We have a lot of entrepreneurs. There is a saying, natural resources get depleted when it is used, whereas human resources get depleted when it is not used. That is the case in case of India. We have not utilized the human resources in its full scale. So one more thing I would like to add to our justice what he has told. As he has mentioned, even though we have a lot of intellectuals, we have not been properly tapping them in India. So other countries are taking advantage of our talents and making hay out of it. So to avoid it, my request is that to government or everybody, so whatever may be the law of the country, but one thing, please take more and more deserved for each and every field rather than you take reserved. Reserved is required, but first preference is to be given for deserved. So if we do so, definitely we can become leaders in the world. Thank you.
I am Dr. Rajesh Naik. I am Director of Training at the College of Banking and Financial Studies, which is under the Central Bank of Oman in Muscat. My topic for today's seminar is about customer service excellence. From my experience in the banking sector, I would just like to share my thoughts that sometimes banks go to do a major image re-engineering. They change their logos, they change their colors, and then say walk into our branches and feel the experience. But when the customer walks into the branch, it is the same old experience and not a pleasant one. So my suggestion would be, or appeal to the banks is, first concentrate on educating, training and also changing the attitudes of the staff so as to improve the customer experience when they walk into the branches or even into the head office. And signages, branding, etc. can follow later, because ultimately for a customer it is not the colors which matter, it is the experience. Now the learned judge has spoken rightly about film and music piracy. From my experience, I would just like to point out that initially piracy entered the music world, and at that stage the film world sat back and said it's not our problem, it's the problem of the music world, because it is like two people sitting on opposite sides of a boat, and people on one side say our part of the boat is all right, it's only the other side of the boat which has holes and water is coming in. The music pirates themselves expanded their activities and extended into film piracy, and it was then that the film world realized that a monster had been created which would be difficult to stop. And today you have sites where a newly released movie, excellent print, is available in a pirated version on the second day after its release. So you see, what cannot be stopped as a seed or a sapling cannot be cut when it grows into a tree.
I am Professor Ramakrishna, Professor of Law in National Law School of India University. In this particular conference, I will be speaking on patents and copyrights. These are two areas which constitute the backbone of any knowledge economy. India, now being a part of the international organizations like WTO, WIPO, and having complied with TRIPS, has made its law completely in compliance with TRIPS provisions. Having done that, India has moved in a particular direction of framing its own IPR policy. Perhaps the policy in its vision statement and the mission statement has very laudable objectives. And it also has 7 objectives clearly stated, and it has identified the way forward for achieving these objectives. Perhaps a very intensified implementation of these policies, objectives, would take India to greater heights. India should not be cowed down by pressures from the foreign entities, especially in the field of patents, when it has adopted Section 3D into the Patent Act, thereby preventing evergreening of patents and promoting what is called as the incremental innovations, and also exploring the possibility of grant of compulsory license whenever it has threatened the interests of the public. Right? Those are the provisions which are to be in place so that it will ultimately ensure that India's, in the Indian context, IPR is not abused, misused, so on and so forth. However, utilization of IPR for the promotion of the progress of science and useful arts, which is underlying the US Constitution, applies not only to US but to all over the world. India has moved in that particular direction so far. Filing of patents, grant of patents, enforcement of patents, commercial exploitation of patents are issues which Indian innovators should focus on. Indian innovators are no less inferior compared to the innovators all over the world. Innovations are happening in a large scale, but only thing, innovations will have to be properly identified and then converted into intellectual property rights and then appropriately commercially exploited. In the field of copyright, again, the creative industry in India is very, very active. Piracy will have to be pegged. We understand that, but at the same time, the awareness of existence of copyrighted materials should be done so that every user of any creative material would understand that it is another person's creation which will have to be honored. And on this occasion, I'll be addressing all these issues with the backdrop of Indian IP laws, patent law and copyright law, and again in the backdrop of international institutions. Thank you very much.
My name is Harikrishna Holla. I am running this Holla Associates since last 30 years. Our specialization is the intellectual property rights. We have been organizing this workshop since last 4 years. Only in order to educate the people about this. Many people, they don't know about the IPR. In fact, intellectual property rights stands for a combined word for all the 4 rights: trademarks, patents, copyright and designs, and the geographical indications. Since there is no dearth of knowledge in India, so we have been educating the people by organizing these kind of workshops and all that. So we invite the experts in the field and conduct this thing. Why IPR is required is, recently our Prime Minister Modi, he was rendering a speech in the Congress. He told, India doesn't claim the patent rights in yoga. Unfortunately, in USA, many yoga gurus who have migrated from India have taken patents in respect of yoga, which is a knowledge which is known to Indians from 5,000 years. In fact, if the patent should be given, it should be given to Patanjali Shastri, not to others. Likewise, even in India also we had a lot of cases, particularly with regard to C.C. Ravi Shankar, who was actually appropriated a patent, trademark, copyright in respect of Soham Yoga Kriya. Nobody can claim in a kind of a meditation, nobody can claim a copyright. But unfortunately, he has taken that, and of course, he is encashing upon like that. We have a traditional medicines which have got a lot of value and all that. As Justice Kumar rightly said, that unfortunately we don't have much experts in patents, and we are not patenting our rights. And others, foreigners, they come here and then do it. India is a cradle of civilization, and therefore we should be filing the maximum number of patent applications in world. But unfortunately, we have done it because of lack of knowledge. We have knowledge, but unfortunately there is no proper guidance and all that, and there is no support from the government. Fortunately, India in its recent policy has come out, they want to help the startup companies who come out with the patent, and they said that the entire patent expenses are borne by the government itself for the initial 2 years. That's a very welcome move, because the youngsters who can develop the patents can definitely approach the government and get their patent registered, so that they need not to worry about that cost involved in filing the patent application and all that. Likewise, the trademarks, the problem is that once a person adopts a trademarks, by the time he get registered, so many persons would have been infringing his trademark and all that. Without registration, he is unable to approach the court and all that. Of course, he can approach the court by filing a passing of action, but unless and until he obtains the rights, he cannot enforce it in the court of law, because many judges are also not knowledgeable about the patent trademark rights and all that. So therefore, the government of India now has come out with a policy where they say within 1 year the trademark will be registered. That's a welcome move by present government. I really appreciate the present Modi government for this their move in this regard. Thank you.
I'm Holla. I'm an engineer by profession, and I did my MBA from Germany recently. I've come back to India now thinking that I would want to do something in India for India. I feel that nowadays youngsters are so much into tech, and as you see, even our Prime Minister is so much into technology and trying to connect to people through that. IPR is very important for people who are also, into innovations and who are starting up new companies. In software, there's a lot of opportunities which are untapped, and I think awareness is lacking big time. If people are aware about the IPR laws and how they can utilize it for monetization, it is one thing, but then it shouldn't again become a big monster, because if you start monetizing every small thing, then this whole idea of sharing, collaboration and having an open platform becomes very difficult. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of talent in India, and a lot of scope to do right now, because everything is moving into smart cities, connected world. So there's a lot of scope and potential, and I feel that people should really make use of it. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Parvati from Karnataka Antibiotics and Pharmaceutical Limited. I'm working as a manager, secretarial and admin. We just met Mrs. Holla Associates since last 20-25 years. We are there with them, but we had a product by name Verzit. And there were other party, one of the company who also had the Verzit product, but we fought for it, and somehow Holla, through this IPR rights, we could get the product back to us. So we are very great enough to Mrs. Holla Associates for having as a consultant with us, and it's really a great achievement for us. For Karnataka Antibiotics, it's a great achievement for getting that Verzit back to our as a trademark.